Welcome back. Thank you for your continued tuning in to our MikroTik RouterOS version 7 video tutorial series. Before we proceed any further, we'll do some cleaning up and quick recap. So we are here in our R2 and R3. So the reason why it's open, the IP route list of the respective MikroTik routers, because we will clean up the BGP advertised networks. So this was just a sample really to drive on how we could advertise networks in our iBGP, but this is not really part of our topology. It just is a fictitious IP and we will just remove it. Okay, so IP routes, then we look for our black hole route, and this is the one, and we'll just click remove. And also on our R3, this is our black hole route. So if you double click, this is the black hole route. So this is the one, and we'll just remove it. So here in our R1, so if you go to routing BGP, so we still maintain our BGP or iBGP connection, and if you'll notice, we have the route reflector role retained from our previous video. So if you go to sessions, since we removed the advertised route, so the prefix count is back to 0. So now for this video, we will configure the eBGP connection between R2 and R4, and also eBGP connection between our R3 and R7. So eBGP, or External Border Gateway Protocol, is the part of BGP responsible for exchanging routing information between separate networks known as autonomous systems. So in our topology, R2 and R3 belongs to the autonomous system number 65100, while the R4 belongs to the autonomous system number 65150, and R7 belongs to ASN 65200. So again, eBGP is used to connect and exchange routes with other AS numbers. So this ensures that different organization networks can send traffic to and receive traffic from one another. So let's configure eBGP in our R2. So you go to routing BGP. So we could go to template, and we already have template, and yes, we could reuse it, but perhaps for clarity and again for this video tutorial example only, we'll make it really clear. So we could clone this or copy this template and really emphasize eBGP template, that this is a template for eBGP purposes, but remains our AS number, our router ID, and we'll have some future videos on multi-hop pertaining to eBGP, but nothing much change apart from making it clear that this template is for eBGP. Next, after our BGP template, so we go to connection. So we have our connection to R1. So we have disabled this connection to R3 in our previous video because we have implemented the route reflector. So I could be tempted to copy this and just change, but for the purposes of really creating and for those who have just joined us, so we just create our new BGP connection. Okay, so we'll be touching the general tab in our BGP connection. So obviously we could begin with name, so eBGP, again for clarity purposes, so we made it this way. So eBGP connection, so we are R2, we are making an eBGP connection to our R4. Next will be under the name is the template. So we have some options here. So clearly, so we'll just use eBGP template 65100. Next, so before I go to remote address, although it's the next in line in this configuration, so let's just do the simple first. So remote AS, so that will be the remote AS number of our eBGP peer, so that will be not our AS number, so definitely, so that will be 65150. And then the local role will not be eBGP anymore. So obviously we'll try to find a local role which is eBGP. So we have some eBGP here, eBGP customer, peer, provider. Let's just make it simple for this very first video for our configure eBGP. So let's just select eBGP here. So if you scroll down, so you'll have multi-hop again for future video. Then we have connect and listen. So similarly in our eBGP connection video, let's just check this connect and listen. So now we could not click OK because there's still one missing fundamental setting that we need to configure, which is the remote address, which is still not yet configured. So normally on our eBGP, we will place or put the loopback address of our peer, which is in this case the R4. So if we go quickly to R4 and go to its IP addresses and take a look at the loopback address. The loopback address is 172.31.150.4. Back to our R2, so we could not place it simply here and type 172.31.150.4 because we need to ensure that that is reachable. So if we backtrack a bit and do an IP routes, so we don't have that particular reachable address, which is 172.31.150.0/24 network or whatever network that will make that loopback address reachable, or that specific loopback which is /32. So of course we could make some routing adjustments and make that loopback address of R4 reachable, but to make this video simple is to make the directly reachable interface on the other side, which is R2 to R4 connects via Ether3 in the 10.100.150 network. So I am, let's say, IP address 10.100.150.2 and the other side should be 10.100.150.4. So if we'll do a ping and type in if it's reachable 10.100.150.4 and click start, and let's maximize this, and yes, the other side is reachable. So going back to our eBGP connection which was pending, so under the remote address, so let's type in 10.100.150.4 and let's click OK to accept that new eBGP or connection to R4. So now here in our R4, so let's close this IP address window and let's go to routing BGP. So it's fresh here, so no connection, no templates except for the default. Again, we could make use of this default, but we choose to disable to make clear again for this video tutorial purposes only. So we click new and we'll create a new template here. So eBGP template, and it will be 65.150. So we'll just copy the comment to the name, and the AS number will be 65.150, and the router ID will still place it as the loopback address, so 172.31.150.4. so click apply. So again, let's just review. So 172.31.150.4, that will be the loopback address for our router 4. So now let's close this template, and obviously we don't have any sessions yet, so we go to connection and click new. So this will be eBGP connection to our R2. So we are R4, so we'll copy this comment to the name. Template is the one that we have just created, so it carries the AS, it carries the router ID. So the remote address will be 65.100, the local role will be eBGP, and let's check the connect, and we have the listen. And we now left with the remote address again to make it clear. So let's do a ping first, and let's ping the intended remote address of our R2. So click start on this, and there is a reply on our R2. So connectivity is verified. So let's type in the address. So 10.150.2 and click OK. So now that we have connection, so to verify if we have established a BGP session, so we go to sessions and we now have one entry here. So the eBGP connection. So we are looking at from R4 point of view. So to R2 with an E flag, established flag. So we have some remote address here, the remote ID, and some capabilities here. And we have some stats here in our BGP session. So now here in our R3, so for the purposes of saving some time, so I've already created the respective eBGP template. So it's basically the same, but the name is just for clarity purposes, eBGP. So the AS number for R3 and the router ID for R3 remains the same. And the same goes with connection. So already created an eBGP connection to our R7. So using that template, this is our AS. The remote address will be 10.100.200.7. So our connection to our R7 is via Ether3 interface. So we are 10.100.200.3 because we are router 3. So if we do a tools ping to 10.100.200.7 and let's maximize this. So click start, and yes, we do have a reply. So that's connection is verified. So let's close also the IP addresses to go back to our BGP connection. So the remote AS or the AS number for R7 is 65200. The local role connect and listen remains the same. So in configuring R7 this time, let's have it in RouterOS command line interface. So we open the terminal. So basically we could start with routing BGP template and print the existing template. So next we could disable first to be consistent to our previous example. So BGP template, so set 0. So this is the item number of our default. So set 0. So disabled is yes. And we could do a print again, and it is now with an X flag or disabled flag in MikroTik. So next we could now add our template. So BGP template add. So we could start with comment, of course. So eBGP hyphen template 65-100, and we could have the name, which is similar to eBGP template also 200. Then we could have the AS number, which is 65-100, and we could have also the router ID, which is the router ID of R7. So 172.31.200.7. So we could verify it quickly via GUI and not via command line. So 172.31.200.7, and we could have the disabled, which is no. So template, add comment, the name, the AS number, the ID, and the disabled no. So let's enter and let's do a print, and we now have our eBGP template. So first, before we continue with our connection, so I made some quick edits first because the name is not 65-100. So I print the existing template, and we found that the item number was 1. So routing BGP template set 1. Then the name, so I've corrected the name to be 65-100. So we'll do a print here, so it should be the correct one. So next will be the connection. So I print the connection, and we don't have any existing connection. So next will be to add a new connection. So that will be R7, so connecting to our R3, so eBGP. So the name and comment are the same. So we have the template 65200. The remote address will be the directly reachable. So 10.100.200.3. So we are .7. 10.100.200.7. So the local role is eBGP and disabled equals no. So we'll press enter and let's do another print. And yes, we now have a new eBGP connection. So let's check the routing BGP session and let's do a print, and we do have an flag E established. So we have an established eBGP connection to our R3. So with this remote address using our directly reachable or directly local address 10.100.200.7. The ID are the loopback of our respective routers and their capabilities and some cluster ID that will be explained soon. And basically the BGP connection is established.